Welcome to the Brantford Public Library's challenge, Brantford Reads Diverse Books, where we challenge you to find amazing reads. We want you to discover new characters, stories, and authors. Join the reading challenge at brantfordlibrary.readsquared.com. Kids, families, and teens are all welcome to join. This video's featured author is Tanaz Bhathena. We're very excited to have Tanaz share about her writing process and favorite books that you might also like to read. Tanaz is the author of White Pine Award winner Hunted by the Sky, and her novel, The Beauty of the Moment, won the Nautilus Gold Award for Young Adult Fiction. Her books have been named Best Book of the Year by CBC, The Globe and Mail, 17, and The Times of India. Tanaz Bhathena has written Hunted by the Sky, Rising Like a Storm, The Beauty of the Moment, and A Girl Like That. Our first question is, why do you write?
I've loved reading ever since I was a child. I started reading books on my own when I was 5 years old, and by the time I was 8, I was writing my own stories, mostly because I couldn't always find everything that I wanted to read. I remember the first story I ever wrote was about 3 girls who went to visit a witch on a mountain. I never finished that story, so I don't know what happened to them. But by the time I was 11, I discovered the short story form, and that's when I began writing more complete stories. My first published short story was about a werewolf at a girls' boarding school, and it was published in a youth magazine in the UAE. By the time I was 13, I knew I wanted to write books for a living, but life got in the way. And I ended up going to university. I did a BCom, and I didn't start thinking about pursuing writing professionally until I finished university. Writing allows me to lose myself in a world of my own making and also have adventures with my characters. Also, to live out certain things that I couldn't do as a teenager vicariously through them. But writing also lets me figure out things about myself, or things that have happened to me in the past which I did not really understand until I was reading about them on the page.
Our second question is, where do you get ideas for stories?
I get ideas for stories from pretty much anywhere. I really like observing people and eavesdropping on conversations, as you can really get an idea of how people interact, what natural dialogue sounds like. I also read a lot of books, fiction and nonfiction. I read comics, I watch movies and YouTube. I check the news to see if anything interesting has happened. I'm a really bad poet, but I love reading poetry because poetry can bring such vivid images to the mind. I also really love paintings and any kind of art. I follow a ton of art and art history channels on Instagram. The Modern Met blog is really cool. I mostly write about things that I'm excited about or things that strongly move me. This could be about a pair of teenagers who die in a car crash in Saudi Arabia. It could be an enemies to lovers romance set in my hometown of Mississauga. Or it could also be an epic fantasy set in a world inspired by medieval India.
Our last question is, what are your favorite reads?
I have 3 book recommendations for you today. The first is Charming as a Verb by Ben Philippe. This is a hilarious contemporary novel about a Haitian American boy named Henry who's trying to get into an Ivy League college and also working part-time as a dog walker. Henry is able to charm pretty much anyone. But then he meets Corinne, who's not only super smart, but also incredibly difficult to impress. What I love about this book is that it has equal doses of romance and comedy, so if you love both of these things, you absolutely need to pick it up. Also, shout out to McGill University, which has a very special role in this book. The second book that I like to recommend is Sisters of the Snake by Sarina and Sasha Nanua. This is an action-packed YA fantasy about twin sisters Ria and Rani who were separated at birth. One is raised as a princess, the other grows up on the streets as a thief. This is a really cool retelling of the classic tale The Prince and the Pauper, but in an Indian setting and with magic. And the girls also happen to have funny and somewhat evil snake familiars. There's also a ton of delicious food descriptions, so I really recommend reading this book with a plate of Punjabi samosas and a glass of mango lassi. The third and final recommendation that I have is The Downstairs Girl by Stacey Lee. This is a charming historical YA set in Atlanta of the 1890s. And this is about a Chinese-American girl named Jo who works as a maid during the day and secretly writes an advice column at night using the nickname Miss Sweetie. Though this book is historical fiction, I found it really hilarious and very relatable even today, especially the way Miss Sweetie coolly calls out racism and sexism during the time period. The story is also about family and secrets, and that's all I can really say without spoiling the book. But it is so well written, and the audiobook is wonderfully narrated, so I really recommend picking either of those up.
That was Tanaz Bhathena. Thank you for sharing a bit about yourself. You can find more from Tanaz on her website at tanazbhathena.com or on social media at Bhathena Tanaz. You can find any of the books mentioned in this video, including favorites, in the library catalog, Libby, or Hoopla. Don't forget to join the Brantford Reads Diverse Books Challenge at brantfordlibrary.readsquared.com or the handy ReadSquared app. Here you can track each challenge you complete and earn points towards a prize draw for completing challenges. If you don't know what to read, borrow a Diverse Books book bundle. For each bundle, we've selected 5 books that will help you complete the challenge. For more videos from the Brantford Public Library, make sure to click subscribe or visit brantfordlibrary.ca.